welcome back to my channel. My name is Dani Rios for those that don't know me. Today I'm going to be filming a very highly requested video that I have been putting off for a while now just because it didn't feel right until now. And this video is going to be how I stay organized and productive, and I'm going to be giving some tips and tricks on how to be successful. Now, as you guys know, I live for a good planner and I literally plan everything to a T. I love writing things down. I love making a daily to-do list, and I'm a very organized person, and I feel like for me that has worked just because I get very anxious and I get anxiety if I don't write things down and if I'm not on top of all the things and all the projects that I have going on. So I kind of want to help you guys to also stay organized, hit those deadlines, you know, be a successful and thriving young adult, because I think everyone deserves to be successful. So if you are ready for this video, let's go. So my very first tip is to plan. And I know some people are like go with the flow kind of people, and that's awesome. But I feel like if you really want to be successful, hit your goals, and do everything that you're dreaming of, you literally have to plan. There's a verse in the Bible that I really like, and it's Psalms 29:18 that says, "People without a vision perish." And for me, that has been such a motto for my life, because if my life does not have a vision, and if it does not have a goal or a dream in mind and proper steps to get there, I'm literally, I wouldn't even know how to live a life like that, because it's like, what am I working towards? Nothing. When I do panels and people ask me what is my biggest advice, it's always to plan. That's why vision boards are such a big thing, because you have to have your goals set up, and then you need to have steps on how you're gonna reach that goal. And that's what makes people's dreams come to reality. So I may have a dream, but if I don't know how to get there, if I don't take the proper steps to get there, it literally will just become a dream and I'll never make it happen. I set goals in the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and towards the end, so around like November, just to make sure I have all my goals set for the next year. That has been super helpful. I mean, for one, I gave myself a goal to do a YouTube video every week, and that was more like a short-term goal because I gave myself a deadline. So I like to upload videos on Friday, which means I have to film a video by Monday and then have time in the week to edit it. So for me, that's kind of a way that you can plan things out. And then of course I have long-term goals. I really gave myself this whole year to launch new projects, to build these new businesses, so that by 2020, I can start the process of buying a home, because I really want to be a homeowner by the time I'm 25. Maybe 26. But that's kind of a long-term goal that I have. So I have to think of steps on how I'm gonna get there. I can't just be like, oh, in 2021, I wanna be a homeowner and not do anything to increase my revenue to actually ensure that I can be a homeowner. So I think planning is so important. That's why I really like this luxurious lifestyle planner that I got. I think there's so much in here that is super important for adulting. Yearly goals, your financial goals, you know, ways on how to get rid of your debt, your spending triggers. I love that it has the monthly expenses, which for me is very crucial. Since I am a blogger, I like to keep tabs on everything that I spend and making sure that I don't overspend, because I want to save and I obviously want to buy my home soon. So I want to make sure that all my spending is written down and I know exactly where my money is going. All these budgeting tips, and I think my favorite part was the fixed expenses, which are all your monthly bills that you can add on there. And that way you can see exactly very clear how much money you have coming out every single month, how much money is coming in, and the money that you have left that you can use, you know, either to save or, you know, splurge every now and again. So tip number 2 is to say no and really just know what to invest your time in. So I think something that separates me from a lot of people my age is that I really do not go out. I'm honestly always working, and I know that seems kind of like a workaholic, but for me, my motto in my 20s is like, I'm just gonna work super hard while I'm young and I can do all of this stuff. So I saw a really good quote, and it basically said, you grind in your 20s, you build in your 30s, and you chill in your 40s, which that's really how I'm trying to live my life. So that's why a lot of things that most people my age do, which is like, let's go to brunch on Sundays and let's just go do all these stuff and let's go out and let's go drink. It's just like, to me, that is not beneficial. Like, to me, that is not gonna take me anywhere. That doesn't put me closer to my goals. So I would rather stay in, work on my goals, get work done that I need to finish, instead of just like, I mean, not only am I wasting my time, I literally am wasting money as well, which is not good, you know, if you're trying to save up. Success in your 20s is more about building a table than enjoying the feast. And that's so true, because it's like, for the last few years, I really have been hustling and grinding and just trying to build my businesses. And I may not see the result immediately, but I know that one day it is going to pay off and I'll be able to really enjoy, you know, all these projects that I'm launching, even though it's hard work and I have to sacrifice money, time, so many things like sleep, but I know one day it's gonna pay off. So I think knowing where to invest your time is very wise, especially in your 20s. It's super important. And honestly, if you see a lot of successful people, they will tell you that they're very focused. They're not just spending their time doing like whatever it is that people do nowadays. They really are at home working, always staying focused, and they're always building towards something. So I think that's just something really important to think about. You know, whenever, I'm not saying like it's not cool to have fun. Like, obviously you can go have fun every now and again, but I think a lot of people these days are just super excessive. They're always out and about doing something. And I think obviously there's different stages of this. I think some stages it's like you just have to work and see the result later on. And then there's sometimes where it's like, okay, you've worked a lot and you have a lot of stuff like good to go, you're doing good, and you can kind of let these projects and businesses thrive on their own. And so you're working hard, but you can play hard as well. So I think there's just a balance in that. I think there's seasons where it's like you will sacrifice a lot and work really hard, and then there's other times where you will work a little bit less and you get to enjoy that free time and enjoy that freedom that you've created for yourself. If you guys have followed me, I may be an example for you guys of what a young entrepreneur looks like. But I kind of want to give examples of 2 of my friends that I think have been doing an awesome job at this. And one of them is Timothy Hoang, which is the owner of Stories by Tim. And honestly, I met Tim before he was anyone. I'm just kidding. No, so I met Tim like literally like 4 years ago. And he was actually like a child. He was probably like 18. Like, he wasn't even legal, like he couldn't even legally drink, right? But I remember he hustled, he reached out to me, he wanted to do videos, and he made himself into what he is today. He is so successful. I honestly see him as like a child. I saw this little bean and then I've just seen it like grow and flourish. And I just love how hard he works. But honestly, if you watch his stories, like you see him, he'll be up to like 5 a.m. Editing a video, and then the next day he wakes up, has to go do all these other projects. So for him, I feel like I can honestly say he has hustled so hard and he has sacrificed so much, and you can honestly see the results of his hard work ethic, because he has his amazing business now and he's so young, which is like so crazy to me. But I've honestly seen how hard Tim works day in and day out, and that is a very awesome example of just like a great entrepreneur, like a person that had a dream, had a goal in mind, and made it happen. 2 other people that have done this are my friends Dani and Jennifer. And you guys know that I've been at Hola Cafe like so much lately, and it's because it's their business. These are some of my closest friends. It's literally been 1 year since my friend told me that she wanted to start a coffee shop. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna open up my churro business. Yeah, let's go. And literally, I went in December to Mexico City. I came back in January. She started this process of building her coffee shop. She had found the location. She had everything. And for me, I just see her as such a great example because she knew what she wanted and she literally took the steps to get it. It wasn't like, oh, I just want to own a coffee shop and like, oh, let me just wait and like let time pass by. No, she was so proactive. She was looking for locations every single day. She finally found one. She put in the orders for everything that she needed. She traveled. She was making all these coffee recipes in her home, making me try them. So she was very proactive about having this coffee shop, and she made it happen, and I would say they made it happen. But that just goes to show, like, if you really want something and you have the work ethic, don't just say that you want this one thing and like not do anything about it. Like, be very proactive, have the proper steps, and do it. That's literally all you need to do in life, is just like literally start and do it. Those are like great examples of, I feel like, entrepreneurs that inspire me and that have worked really hard, has sacrificed, and now you can see just like the fruits of their labor. Okay, another tip is make a daily to-do list. Now this is so important, and I literally do this every night, because if I don't, I know that all these like thoughts and all these to-dos that I have in my head will not get done if I don't visually see them every single day. So I think this is like a must that everyone must do. I really don't know how people, they're just like, oh yeah, I'll remember. And I'm like, do you really remember? What I like to do is kind of just like write down all the stuff that I need to get done. So for me, like this week, I've been needing to call my bank. I've been needing to get new tires. It's just a lot of little things that I need to get done, but if I don't write them down, I feel like I literally will never actually do them. So I write them down and I try to get them done in that day, but some of the tasks I'm not able to get to them, so then I just add them to the next day. But it is super important that you're doing this every single night. So if there is something that you need to get done, it will get done because it's on your list. And this is a really great way to not feel overwhelmed, because I feel like people always have like so many things to do, but it's like they actually never get to them because they forget about it or they just keep putting it off. But having that daily reminder will make you go do these things. You also want to tackle your deadline. So usually, let's say if I have a deadline in 2 weeks, I try to give myself space and try to get that project done. So I literally will schedule, like, on this day, I'm going to work on this project. And if it doesn't get done in that day, then I can schedule it for a different day. But you do want to make sure you have your deadlines outlined, because you literally will forget. So I think that's like another really important thing that I do and how I stay productive and organized, is writing my deadlines and making sure I find space before that deadline to get that work done. So for me, it's like, if I have a posting deadline, I make sure that I have time to go and shoot for that picture, have time to edit, I have time to write my caption. That way, by the time the deadline comes, I'm like, oh, this post is ready to go, and I just upload it. So I also read a really good, it wasn't really like quote, it was just someone said this, and it said, the act of writing down tasks clears your mind so that you can remain creative. This is an extension of just simply maintaining a calendar. This is a catch-all for all the light bulbs that come on a normal work day. So for me, again, I love doing this. It clears my mind. I feel like I'm not as anxious just because I am writing everything down. So tip number, I don't even know what number this is, 4, 5, 6, I don't know. All right, so make time for yourself. So I know a lot of people call it self-care these days. I don't really like to say self-care. For me, making time for myself is, you know, after I've worked really hard, if there is times where I have downtime, sometimes I do like to go watch a movie with friends or go have dinner. Obviously, it's not all the time, and most of my friends are like really busy too. So, you know, this does happen every now and again, but I think it is very important to surround yourself with people that inspire you, with people that ground you, with people that keep you humble, with people that you can laugh with. So for me, that's making time for myself, because I'm surrounding myself with other people that are like-minded and vibe from each other, and you know, just create a very amazing, creative and inspiring environment. And nowadays everyone's so busy all the time, like calendar jam-packed. But what I found to work is I look at my schedule, and if there is a certain day that's open, I'll immediately text my friends, and I'm like, hey, do you guys want to do something fun on this particular day? And for me, that helps me because, okay, I know that I'm going to spend time with my friends, but I also will make sure that day is open just for them, as opposed to never scheduling anything with friends and family, and then I'll probably see that like empty day, and I'm just gonna be like, oh, let me just pack it with work things, which I do all the time. So I feel like when I plan in advance when I'm gonna go hang out with my friends, I get to actually spend quality time with them. Everyone's aware of when we're gonna spend time together, and we kind of clear our schedules for that. So I think that's really important, just so you do have that quality time with the people that you love the most. So this one's gonna be a long one because I feel like there's a lot of different things that go into this one, but my biggest tip in life is to be very financial aware of your finances, obviously. But I think this one is so important because I know people that literally do not look at their bank account, and they're just like, oh, spending like whatever. And I'm like, do you ever even look at your transactions? One, because I think looking at your transactions, it keeps you very aware of what you've spent money on. Like, do you regret spending money on this thing? And if you do, just don't do it again. And I think it's very important to just look at your bank account every now and then, because you do want to make sure there's no random transactions in there that you do not recognize. If I feel like I spent too much money on food, I'll go into my bank account, look at that month, see how much I spent on food, and then I look at the amount and I'm like, was this necessary? Another thing when budgeting is that if you do have debt, you do want to pay that off as soon as possible. I think it's just not good to have debt at all. And obviously I know like college happens and I don't know, all these other things happen. But staying on track of all your debt and making sure you're paying that off will make you very successful in the long run. And I think it's funny because I found like some kind of quote that said that most Americans that have like $5 in their pockets and no debt are richer than most America, which is sad if it literally only takes no debt and $5 to be one of the richest people in Dallas, to be one of the richest people in the US. I think that is freaking crazy, but it's true. I love that this planner has a debt-free worksheet. You can put your creditors, your balance, your due dates, the amount due, the amount paid, and the remaining balance. So I think it's really cool. It also has like a saving jar, and you can do a start date, your savings goal, and your savings goal amount, because again, you do want to save, but you can't save if at the same time you have all this debt. I mean, I guess you could, but sacrifices will have to be made. So yeah, basically you really just want to be aware of where your money is going, because it's very important to know how much you're making and how much you're spending. If you're overspending, that's just not very good for your finances. You definitely want to also save in there if you can. I think another thing that I see a lot of people do, it's like they pay for all these little things, Spotify and Netflix and whatnot. Like, you do want to be very aware and resourceful. You think it's little money and it's like, oh, it's just $2.99, it's just this. But at the end of the day, I tracked down, and I actually put it in my expenses, I tracked down all my bills of like little things. So it's like I pay $10 for my Lightroom. So I don't know, I just think there's so many things that we spend our money on that are just so unnecessary. And I think if you cut down and really look at what is a need versus a want, you will totally save so much money. And I think that's just financially smart. And so another thing that I would say, I guess this kind of falls under financially aware, but you do also want to give back, like to either your community or to your friends around you. It feels so good when you have extra income coming in that you're able to bless others with it, I feel like that makes you, it makes you feel so good. And it obviously doesn't have to be like extravagant gifts, but just giving back in little small ways. It's such a great habit, because if you can do that now with the current income that you have, I feel like that just shows that whenever you do have more, you will be able to give back to people, and it makes you not have a greedy heart, which is really, really important, because honestly, like, money is not everything. And although it is important to be successful, it's more important to be nice and just give back. And now this, I guess, can be its own tip, but I think tithing is so important, and I think that is one of the main reasons why personally I feel like I live a very blessed life. And obviously, you guys know I'm a Christian, so this is something I strongly believe in. Tithing is basically where you take 10% of whatever it is that you earned and you give it back to the church, which ultimately you're giving back to God. But for me, this has been such a habit literally since I was like a little girl. Like, my parents would give me money and I would always give like the 10% of that. As soon as I get money, I get on my little church app and I give my tithe. And for me, it's very important to do that because, one, it's in the Bible and it's a command, and I feel like when you do give your tithe, you're not only obeying God, but you're really honoring Him in what He's given you. So for me, I feel like God has blessed me so much that why wouldn't I give a very small percentage of what He has given me? I feel like this shows that I can be faithful, you know, if I do have more, because I'm faithful in my current situation. So for me, I think tithing is just like super important. There's a promise, there's a principle there, and I think it's something that everyone should do. And I think at the same time, when I do it, I feel like I'm letting God know that my trust and my security is not, you know, in the money I make or like my income, but it's really on Him. I'll give an example. So I was like really broke in college. And I remember like one day I needed $50 so bad. And I've always given my tithe. So even when I made like this little amount of money, I would still give my tithe. And it was so hard for me because I was like, oh my God, I totally need that small amount, because like you're broke in college. But I was like, no, like I need to stay faithful. So I would give my tithe anyway. God gives you back like so much more when you're like faithful and obey. So for me, in this one situation, I needed $50 like that freaking day. And I remember I was like at work and my manager came over and she was like, oh, hey, like, she literally gave me $50, and she was like, oh, it's from like the tip jar, which later I realized that I wasn't even supposed to get money from the tip jar. That was like for the other people, but she gave it to me that day, and I was like, oh my God, thank you, Jesus. But for me, like, that was such a big deal because I was still faithful in like that small amount of money, and I would still give my tithes. And for me, I feel like I told God, like, God, like, I trust you to always like provide for me no matter what. And then like in that moment it happened. And anyway, there's been like so many different situations where like that happens to me over and over again, and I know it's because I tithe. And even if it doesn't seem like that to other people, I truly feel so blessed because so many jobs and opportunities and doors open up, and they didn't have to, but they do. And so for me, I'm just like very, very thankful to God, and obviously that's why I tithe. Okay guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Those were just some of my tips that I feel are very necessary in order to be a successful and thriving young adult. These are also ways that help me stay organized and focused and productive. As you guys can see, I do a lot in one day, and that is because I have a daily to-do list. So very important. I hope you guys really put all these tips to good use. Let me know if you have any questions down below. I also will leave the link for the planner below and a code so you guys can purchase it. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for joining me. I really, really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.